Biscuit, it's okay. Hi, this is Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. This is Tristan. He's a Corgi, and we're here for an episode of Conversations with a Corgi. And Neely, I saw you there and some other people, but for some reason, Facebook changes live like all the time. You have to, about every month, find a new way to get there to do it. So now there's no start button. As soon as you create a post, you're live. So sorry about that. I wasn't ready, but I am now. So today, and Danny, I heard there was terrible storms in your part of South Dakota. So I hope you and your pups are okay. We're all thinking of you here on Conversations with a Corgi today. I know you still don't have power up there. Oh, terrible weather problems. Anyway, today, one of my good friends is here in town with her two dogs, my little wiener buddies, and one of them is going in for surgery today for something growing on his gums, and he's having a dental too. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about surgery for your dog, because many of us have to bring them in for a dental or a spay and neuter, or, hopefully nothing else major like an ACL surgery or something. But there are some things you can do to help that go as smoothly as possible for your dog. So her instructions were to not feed the dog after midnight. Well, you don't want to feed them at 11:30 p.m. They want them to not have food in their stomach for the surgery, because a lot of times the anesthesia will make you nauseous, and a throwing up dog can choke when they're coming out of anesthesia. They're not that well supervised. Most surgeons that do animals do a whole lot of them, often on a Thursday morning like this. And so there aren't that many people on hand to watch them coming out of anesthesia. And it's not that they're mean. They just have to keep going to get the surgeries done. They're very busy in those offices. So, feed your dog at his normal time, maybe a little bit later. If you're lucky, like this guy, he had to be in for 7:30 this morning. He's going in so early that he might not notice he hasn't had breakfast yet. But don't try to cheat and give him a little treat or something. Oh, there's Danny. Are you okay? It's been crazy. Yeah, well, we were worried about you. So you don't want to even cheat and give them a little bit of something in the morning before surgery, because that nausea can create a lot of problems for them. So first thing, don't feed them after they tell you not to. And the same goes for water. Don't give them water after that time either. Now, a lot of us, like Danny has a bunch of dogs, Jim and James, you have the water down on the floor for all the dogs, but you got to kind of monitor that one guy, and don't take him out and give him a ton of exercise so that he is thirstier than normal before a surgery. You want to keep him quiet, and you want to keep him emotionally balanced as much as you can. There are some homeopathic and flower essences that you can give them to help prepare them for surgery. I have some things that I take that are homeopathic it's a spray for pre and post dental stuff. And boy, does it work. I mean, not always does homeopathy work for me. So it's not the power of suggestion, but that pre and post dental spray I have has really been great. I got it when I was getting a root canal, but it's been good for cleaning and all the other things that happen to your teeth. So there are some things you can use to help ease that trauma of the surgery. Another couple of things, try to bring your dog to a surgeon that's local to you. You don't want to throw him in the car, drive him 2 hours, and then have to have him go to a strange place. If that's what needs to be done, like one of my little blind dachshund buddies, she had to go to have surgery in Boston because she needed really specialized care. So her mom has a really great dog hotel she's found in Boston where the dog is really comfortable, goes there all the time. So she went out and spent a couple days there before the dog had her surgery so that the dog felt like she was still kind of in her home environment. So that's really important to help keep their emotional balance. You want to not disrupt them too much. Like my little buddies that came down yesterday, came over here, hung out for a while. They've been here a million times. And they went over to their house in this town where they grew up and where they're very comfortable. So try not to have to move your dog around too much. I have one client who actually flew her dog to California for a surgery from here in a private plane. And I think that was probably pretty traumatic for the dog. And I don't recommend that unless you really are in a situation where you really need something special. In which case, you got to get there a few days early so that your dog can just kind of calm down. A lot of dogs don't travel as well as we think they are. A lot of them are a little off their food, off their exercise, off their time routine because maybe you're on vacation and you're not working, so you don't get up as early. So, try to keep your dog's schedule as much the same as possible. Another thing is to try to pick your dog up as soon as they'll let you. Now, there are reasons they keep them for a couple of hours after the surgery. First of all, they've got a lot of dogs to process and kitties, and they want to keep an eye on them. They can get aspiration pneumonia and they can have clogged airways from things when they're waking up. They can have complications, especially if the dog's older or younger or it's his first time in, and certain breeds don't hold up well with anesthesia, collies for instance. So if your dog is going in, make sure you can pick him up as soon as possible, or if you're lucky, and I have to say more and more vets are doing this, they'll let you go in, put you in a corner somewhere if they have enough space, and you can just sit with your dog for a few hours while he's waking up until they think he's safe to go home. That's ideal because, again, you want to minimize the trauma to the pet. And I mean, I've been so fortunate, and the dogs that were there too. When I've been at my sister, she does like 25 spay neuters on a Thursday morning, mostly for rescues. And she doesn't charge very much for them. She's super efficient. She's done a zillion of them. But there's like 20 little dogs laying on the floor coming out of anesthesia. And when I'm there, they're getting T-touch on their ears. They're getting, like diaphragm releases to help process stuff from a craniosacral perspective, get some of the toxins out of their bodies from the surgery. I try to do something for the group prior to the spay neuters that she's doing, just to kind of silently send them the message that they don't need these parts and that it's going to be okay and that they'll be more comfortable and have a more happy life and that we're really sorry we have to do this. And she won't do it on little baby animals, so there's that. But I think it really helps for you to even send like this little guy going in today for a lump on his mouth to just say to him, you're going in, they're going to take care of this lump, you're going to be a lot more comfortable. And when I pick you up, you'll be fine. So stuff like that really helps. And try to keep yourself calm, because if you're all nervous and worried, thinking, oh my God, he's going in for his first surgery for his neutering, that's not going to help your dog remain calm. And the importance of the calmness is there's less stress hormones in his body. You'll have a better surgical outcome if the dog isn't scared. This is the same for people too. So the more calm and comfortable and happy you can be and the dog can be, and just kind of take it in stride as a routine day, the better the outcome will be. So, and this little guy, any kind of complications could occur with him. He's 12 years old. He's been knocked out a few times for dentals in his life. And just a little bit for a short time because my sister's people are doing his dentals. But, you still worry. So you got to try to keep yourself calm no matter what is going on with your dog. And follow the directions they give you for post-op. If your dog is having ACL surgery or spay and neuter, keep them calm. And that doesn't mean not keeping an eye on them all the time. You might have to keep them in a crate. You may have to keep them on a leash, like right near you when they're out of the crate, just to keep them from running around. You have to keep them on a leash. You have to not stress them with walking. Sometimes a lot of little short walks to the mailbox and back are better than trying to take them around the block. Just imagine how you'd feel if you had some sutures in and it had some organ rearrangement in your own body, and try to be kind to them as well and don't ask too much from them. Now, a lot of puppies are getting spayed and neutered, they're a year, 2 years old, and they want to play. So think about things you can do to engage their mind that will not require them to run around and chase balls. I love the dog puzzles. I love putting out a bunch of paper cups or even plastic ones if you have them, with treats under some of them, and let the dog search and get the ones that he wants. I like playing hide the treat sort of in plain sight around the living room so that he has to sniff under the sofa and the table and under that dog toy on the floor to find the treats. So things like that can help pass their boredom and keep them from running around and jumping over things, because you really do need to keep them calm. Boy, we had a case at my sister's office where the SPCA people, it was some rescue group, I think, I'm not really sure. They were shorthanded on the weekend. Somebody didn't come in. The dog had had a big spay with puppies that had to be delivered, and lots of stitches, and the dog was not cared for properly, and she ripped out all the stitches and had to be put down ultimately. It was a very, very sad thing. So it's not a joke, this keeping an eye on your dog after surgery. And the same for this little guy. Now, he's not having any kind of massive thing done, but he's going to have a few stitches. We're going to want to watch what he's eating. We're going to want to keep his teeth clean. We're going to want to use the dental drops to minimize infection, because anything in your mouth is living in a bacteria soup. So you want to try to keep the mouth as clean as possible. You're going to think about what you're feeding him. You're going to have planned ahead and had made some boiled chicken or turkey or something like that to give him his treats. Whatever the dog's been eating. So there's a lot of stuff you can do to help your dog have the best possible surgical outcome, including keeping yourself calm. One of the things I suggest is that Tellington T-Touch heart hug, where you cross your hands on your heart and you're imagining the face of a clock with the 6 towards the floor, and you're going to push the hands and the skin through your clothes around a circle and a quarter, going from the 6 all the way around the clock and back to the 9. And as you do that, you're thinking of things like, the outcome for my dog will be the best possible thing. The surgery will go smoothly, and the vet will be very happy with the outcome. My dog will remain calm and relaxed and be unstressed while this is happening. Think of things like that and send that information to your dog. We have a tough time keeping our little girl down after she was fixed. Oh, yeah, it's really hard to keep them quiet. But there's stuff you can do, especially if you have other dogs. Danny has a lot of dogs. They want to play with each other, and they're all sniffing each other when they come home. But, you just have to be really creative about things to do with them and give them that time. I mean, so many of us work and don't have time in the house during the day to give our dogs. But when you do come home, that little fella is going to need a little walk to the mailbox and back, maybe twice. And then you're going to come inside, do some puzzles with him, and then take him to the mailbox a couple more times, because he's been waiting all day to see you. And, he's been through a trauma, so you want to process that. Another thing I recommend sometimes for surgery is to call an animal communicator before or after or both, just to check in with your animal, let him know what's happening, let him, like that little dachshund I knew that went to Boston, she had to spend the night there after her surgery. It was pretty dramatic. And to be able to communicate to her with an animal communicator, if you don't feel comfortable just talking to them yourself and saying, you know what, I'm going to be right there, I'm going to be able to check on you, but I won't be able to bring you home for, 2 sleeps, 48 hours, whatever, so that the dog is prepared. That helps, and it helps keep you calm. One of the things we talk about in T-Touch too is having a picture of your dog with you, and just taking a few minutes, not even 5 minutes, just a few minutes a couple times a day to maybe do a heart hug, look at that picture, and send love to your pet so that he knows you're with him, even though he's in this really scary place having stuff happen to him that he doesn't understand. So those are a few suggestions. Some of them more grounded than others about how to help your pet through a surgery. And that little wiener will be coming home later today, and I'll be working on him immediately. So that's another thing. If you have anybody that does Reiki or animal energy work in your area, having them work with the dog ASAP after they come home from surgery can be also really helpful. So I'll be seeing the little guy later today. I was going to get to have the baby Corgi come over tomorrow and have him do Facebook Live with me, but now his mom's having the day off from work, so he's going to be with her. So we'll just have a play date, but I will have that little bugger here one day, and you guys can meet him. I don't know if he can hold still for a whole conversations with a Corgi, especially since he's sitting on your lap. Tristan says, I don't know about baby Corgis on top of me. Everybody have a great day. There is a lot of tornadoes across the country, a lot of heat. Thank God for me because I like the heat. Rain. So keep your dogs happy and comfortable during the storms. And I think we'll be back tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for joining us.